Visionary Minds Public Relations and Media is a proud sponsor of CA Media Podcast. Be sure to get all your publicity, digital marketing, writing, media consulting services by emailing visionarymindsny@gmail.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CA Media Podcast, the show that allows you to come in your own unique way. This podcast will be about my journey throughout my adult life. I will bring my friends, and there will be some episode in which I will be alone to speak about what's on my mind. Topics will range from society, culture, sports, relationships, and so much more. There's nothing off limits on the CA Media Podcast. So, as you come into my world to listen to my podcast, feel free to know that this is a safe space and a personal space to bring your family and friends to listen to the CA Media Podcast. So come and join this ride with me, and as always, this is the show that allows you to come in your most unique, authentic way. I'm intentional about what I wear. An Untold Truth by Chanel Marie Carroll delivers exactly that. This isn't just a fragrance, it's an aura. Rich, provocative, effortlessly refined. Untold Truth moves before I do, leaving a trail of intrigue and quite confidence. It doesn't announce itself. It draws you in. The kind of scent that lingers long after the moment has passed, making people lean in a little closer. This is for those who understand that luxury isn't loud, it's felt. A fragrance that holds mystery, power, and undeniable presence without ever revealing too much. Experience Untold Truth by Chanel Marie Carroll, available on Amazon at select Macy's locations and exclusively at UntoldTruthFragrance.com. Wear your truth unapologetically. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CA Media Podcast, the show that allows you to come in your own unique way. I am the host, Ty Anderson. I have Ty Hines here, independent Syracuse film artist, producer, author, motivational speaker. He is going to come in his own unique way. This show is brought to you by Visionary Minds, Public Relations and Media. If you have any media consultations, feel free to contact Visionary Minds at visionarymindsny@gmail.com, and Tammy Reese will get in contact with you. So today we're here to talk to Ty Hines about Trust No One, his life, his career, his legacy, his upbringing. Mr. Ty Hines, welcome to the CA Media Podcast. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Would you like to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Tyrone Hines, and I grew up in Syracuse, New York, born and raised. Came from a single parent household. Mother Judy Hines was raising me and like four other kids, two brothers and two more sisters,
Okay.
and me. And growing up on the south side of Central Village, known as Brick City, that's where she raised us at, in a tough neighborhood, and she did everything by herself. So, um, you know, growing up and had to really survive in that neighborhood,
Yeah.
it was kind of tough because you're being raised by your mother. You no father figure around, so you had to navigate through the neighborhood the best you can with the help of my mom. But my mother passed away when I was like 17.
My goodness.
Yeah, so thank you. So that left me, my two little brothers and two little sisters,
Depend on one another.
Yes.
So, growing up in Syracuse, New York, what was it like in your era of living? Like that would be like the 80s.
Yeah, that was like the '80s. Like '80s, I'm like a teenager. You know what I mean? I'm just basically just like a regular teenager. Going through the regular life of a teenager. But I used to like to play basketball, right? So I found myself playing in the basketball tournaments, Donnie Fielder, Wilson Park. But what happened was a guy hired me at a young age to work at a youth center.
Mhm.
So as a teenager, you know, I'm taking on early responsibilities early. I got a job. You know what I mean? I'm working towards goals as a young
Correct.
teenager. Trying to help my little brothers and sisters too. But when I got hired to work at the youth center taught me a lot of leadership skills, organizing skills, planning skills. So whenever you see what I've done from that point on in
Mhm.
life, even up until now,
Mhm.
it came from what I learned at the youth center. You
Is
know,
there anyone particular in the youth center that you really looked up to that you molded some of the skill sets?
I mean, it was a combination of different people.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Coming up, and that's how growing up in Central Village, you had different people to come through. As you coming up to play a part,
You know, like,
and you know what I mean. So,
right.
I mean, it's many people I can think of. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mhm.
um, I know you say you played in like basketball leagues.
Yes.
Do you have any favorite basketball players at the time that you like admire?
Yeah. Back then, one of my favorite basketball players, even to the day, was Dwayne Pearl Washington for
Okay.
Syracuse University, right? But um, but then I started to like Lawrence Moulton too, because me and Lawrence Moulton had a better rapport than me and Pearl Washington. Moulton always would pull over when he see me.
Mhm.
He always talked to me. Even when I came home, he gave me jerseys and outfits and stuff. So Pearl was my favorite player coming up, but as time went on, I think I learned to,
Martin.
liking Lawrence Moulton.
Okay. So I know you said your mom transitioned when you were 17. How did you take up the leadership of taking care of your brothers and sisters?
I mean, it was hard because I'm young myself,
Mhm.
and that's why when I see a lot of times when people post on Facebook they lost their mother,
Mhm.
it ain't no really, it ain't no, it's just nothing you can do about that. You know what
Right.
I mean? You don't want to lose nobody, but when you lose your mother at a young age, because your mother always gonna be there for you. Whether you down and out, whether you in jail, whether you struggling, 9 times out of 10, your mother gonna be there.
Right.
When nobody else gonna be there. So when my mother passed away, like it's like, it's like you're in a world by yourself,
Mhm.
right?
You're
And
trying to figure it out.
yes, and you don't know what's coming next. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and then it's just basically just having your mother around when you come home. Just coming home, knowing that your mother cooked,
Mhm.
knowing that your mother done cleaned up, knowing that your mother done washed your clothes, knowing that your mother always gonna tell you the best for you. You know what
Right.
I mean? So when you don't have that, it's like it's like how I want to say it, it's like you in a space where you just don't know what's gonna go on next.
Right. So how did how did you handle that loss? What motivated you?
I mean, still to the day, you don't even handle the loss,
Okay.
because it's still with you.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's times that you always think about, like now,
Mhm.
a lady hit me on Facebook a couple of weeks ago. I want to say her name, Jacqueline Thompson.
Yeah.
And she said her mother maybe about 80 years old. So her mother knew my mother very well. So she said, he told her mother, hey, Ty Hines done did a movie. He got a TV series now. Since he been home, he been doing this, he been doing this. And her mother said, yo, his mother would be real proud of him, right? So it's just things that you're out here doing, accomplishments and stuff.
People looking.
Yeah, so that makes you think back to what your mother would be saying or what she would be doing, you know. So you always nothing gonna ever place that.
Of course not.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing's gonna ever like fill that void of losing like a dear loved one. Like I lost my grandfather, like oh my god, like 2012, and like when he transitioned, I'm like in my brain like, why didn't my nephew do X Y Z? But I have to remember at the time he was like 12, 13. He may not know how.
Yes.
Like okay, do CPR or call the ambulance first and not like a family member. Like I would have probably done the same thing. Like so, like sometimes we have to give each other grace and I hated. Well, I don't want to say I disliked that he transitioned, but I had to understand. You know, everybody's time has eventually have to come, and everyone deals with losses differently. And there's no time frame. You know, and again, like I said, I believe everybody got to give each other grace in reference to that. So I read that you know you did a long prison sentence. What was that about, and how did transition your thoughts to what you wanted to do when you wanted to grow up as being an adult?
Well, you know, my time that led me to prison. But when I was working at the youth center, right, and I don't make no excuses, you know what I mean? When my mother passed, right, a lot of people think that I started selling drugs because of my mother passed and I had to take care of my family, right?
Right.
I mean, that came right with it. But when I was working at the youth center, you know, I had an apartment, I had a car, you know what I mean? I had other bills. So what happened was when you work for a friend, sometimes that don't always work out in the end, right?
Correct.
And you have to leave, right? So now when I left, now mind you, I'm still fairly young. So when I left, you know, you thinking about, okay, you got these bills, you got these cars, you got to make some quick money. So now I started selling drugs to substitute for the income that I was missing from my job, right? But now, as time going on, now the leadership skills, organizing skills, and the planning skills that I learned at the center is taking over now, you know?
Right.
So that led me to making this amount of money to making this amount of money. That led me from having one or two dudes helping me sell drugs to maybe running an organization, maybe 70, 75 people, right? But that wasn't my plans and that wasn't my goals. But now that I'm in there and I see the money coming, the fast money, it just stayed with me. So eventually, right? Eventually, with everything else, when you're doing something illegal, it's gonna come to an end. But what I didn't know is that I always thought that if I got caught, maybe I do like 3, 4 years in state prison, right? I wasn't never thinking that it'd be this big scale investigation by federal authorities, right? And what I did not know either that eventually I will be charged with 21 USC 848B, which is the super kingpin statute under federal laws, and it carry a mandatory life. So once you get charged with that, and I tell this story all the time, because sometimes people think I got life because I escaped twice from 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 prison, but that ain't why I got life. I got life because my charge carried mandatory life, right? That's the highest drug charge under federal law. So when I started selling drugs, I didn't know that it would become to that point, right? You're just thinking you're gonna make some money, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, right? That's it. I didn't know that the end results would be me being charged with. Matter of fact,
Life in prison.
yes, you see what I'm saying? So that's how that came about.
So when you was in prison, what goals? Not even goals. What was like your ambition to do with your life at that time? Did you wanted to like work? Did you want to write? Did you wanted to like be creative? I know
See,
like some prisons they have some like jobs there in which you can do, but
yeah. See, what happened was when I first arrived at federal USP Atlanta Federal Maximum Prison, I couldn't believe prison was like that. I'm talking about, man, they was having big dice game, music playing loud, right? You know, it was killing going on, a lot of stabbing, right? The prison was just wide open. So I always tell people that people can do everything in that prison but drive a car. It was just like you was in the streets, right?
mm,
So I used to play basketball a lot, right?
mm,
But every time I play basketball all day, I be feeling good. But when I go back to the cell, I take a shower and I lay down at night,
mm,
I still got the life sentence, right? So I knew that if I don't do something different, right, I'm gonna be in prison with this life sentence, you
correct.
know. Um, so so I knew that I had to change, right? And I knew that I had to do some things differently while I was in prison because already they was calling me one of the biggest drug dealers in upstate New York, right? So you want to try to erase that title.
Yeah, or change that narrative. Yeah.
There you go. You know what I mean? So the first thing that I did was I started a program. It was called Stop the Violence, Yellow Ribbons in October. So what I did, I made a flyer and I made copies and I sent it out to Syracuse. So when I sent it out to Syracuse, a lot of community leaders saw it, right? One of the persons was, rest in peace, Donna Reese. She was the NWAC president at the time, right?
Yes.
So she got involved, right? So the project grew big. It grew big, right? News reporters want to know, hey, who came up with this idea, right? So the community leaders had to say, hey, Ty Hines did it, right? So the news reporter interviewed me while I was in Atlanta prison over the phone. But seeing that project grow like it did, it gave me the confidence that, man, I could do anything from behind these walls,
Exactly.
right? So now that program that I started in 1998, you will still see me doing it
Today.
every year today, right? So 98 to now, that's
20
how
years. 28 years, right? Yeah.
more than that, probably, right? Maybe
Yeah.
you
Oh,
see what I'm saying?
20.
So my point is something that right there begin to change of what I knew I had to do to get myself prepared in case that day ever come.
Yeah.
Because if that day ever come and somebody had to make a decision, yo, do we leave him in here or do we let him out? And when that day came, that's what my judge said. He said, most people who had mandatory life like you did gave up, never fought their case, never did stuff from behind the walls for the community, right? So when it was time for him to release me, he said it was an easy decision, right? But that thinking came from when I started that program and Donna Reese them helped me. So now while I'm in prison, right? I was talking to a young lady one time and she said, you know what, Hines? You wasted your whole life, right? And when she said that, that stayed with me, right? Because I'm like, man, how did it come to this, right? So I wanted to do something about it. That man, I didn't waste my whole life, right?
That's right.
And so now my next thing I had to do, I got my GED. So now I started accomplishing little goals by little, right?
Mhm.
So now one day I was writing in my cell, dropping down some notes, right? Now those notes on papers became my first book, right? So now I never wrote no book before, but I kid you not, Clyde. When I finished that book and that book hit the streets of Syracuse, it sold out in the first day and a half, right? The book was the talk of the town, right? And still to the day, people talk about the book, right? But when that happened too, that was another motivational for me, right? Because I'm like, wow, man, I wrote something on paper. It turned into a book. And now everybody out in Syracuse is talking about it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So now, so now, you know, you're dealing with your everyday routine and schedule in prison. But now I got two big projects that I done completed in prison that had an impact, right? Mm-hmm. So now I started saying that, man, if everybody was talking about the book like that and it sold out like that, now I'm thinking a movie, right? Right. Thinking a movie. So what happened was, just so happened a guy came. He was from Philly. He was teaching um, how to write movie manuscripts, right? I took the class 3 times because I really wanted to learn how to write movie scripts. So once I took the class, I wrote my movie scripts while I was in prison, right? Mm-hmm. But look, I still got mandatory life sentence. So I'm like, man,
somebody's gonna push this for me.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So what happened was Nykeace Bachus, he is my director of my Trust No One movie. Mm-hmm. And he's the director of the Trust No One series, right? He's a younger guy that was coming to see me when I had mandatory life sentence talking about doing movies, right? Mm-hmm. And here it is.
He's like one of the executive producers of it.
Yeah, but I'm like, man, you talking about movies, right? Which is good and which is motivational. But I'm like, man, I'm in here with a life sentence, right? So if he can make it happen, it's gonna be a plus, right?
Right.
But as time went on, now I started seeing daylight, right? Now my arguments are getting stronger. So now I'm thinking maybe one day I will be able to produce the movie, correct, right? So Clyde, once I finally got released, right? What helped me to rebound back into society was the book and the movie script, right? Because it gave me something.
And it's not the violence.
Yes. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. All of that gave me a launching pad, right?
Correct.
So even with the Stop the Violence, I had community events dealing with that, right? And there's always was people supporting it, getting involved, right? So the things that I've done in prison, I always try to make sure it had a purpose. And those things would help me once I got out, So that's how Trust No One movie came about. Because first it was the book, and now it's like, hey, let's take it to another level.
What's a movie?
Yeah, you know what I mean? So Clyde, sitting back now, right?
Yeah.
Instead of people saying, hey, Hines, you was arrested for drugs, you served time in jail for drugs, right? Now people coming up to me saying, could they be in the movie?
Oh, when's the next part?
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's
a different narrative.
There you go. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a better feeling too,
So let's talk about how your work as an author, now you produce Trust No One. How did you create your characters for that movie? What was your thought process in creating the characters?
Okay, the thought process was once I wrote the book, it was already you just gotta find the you
Oh, so
just
you
gotta
you
find the
plug and play.
characters.
Okay. Okay.
So what happened was it's a young lady named Marisha Stinson, right?
Okay. I heard her.
I give her a whole lot of respect because when I was in prison, I had a program where I was honoring my mother, but I honor mothers in the community. So what Marisha Stinson did with the help of other people, she helped organize the dinner, right? And we gave out awards, and she had a fashion show that included kids, right, for the event. So I'm sitting in here in prison, and like, man, this lady don't even know me, right? But she took the time out.
The initiative, yeah.
Yes. So when when she did that, I had a talk with her one time, and I said, you know what, Marisha, when I get out, I said, man, I'm gonna do this. I said, I'm gonna do this. I said, since you helped me, I'm gonna put you on my book cover. I said, and I want you to put, I'm gonna put you in my movie, right? I'm telling her this while I'm in prison. So when I got out, the first thing I had to do was build the cast. So I started with her. If she already helped me with an event, right? 9 times out of 10, she's gonna say yes to be in the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I took Marisha
And her character,
and I started building around
her. Yeah, that
yes.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
So once I got some in the right place, now some of my family members, right? That was more easier because they coming on because we family. They know how I am. They know what I'm gonna do. They know my potential. So now they want to be a part of something too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it was, right? That was the whole process of building up the cast to have a successful movie. Now, sometimes you might pick someone to play this role, but it might not work out for whatever reason. Something might come up, something
scheduling.
Yes, you know what I mean? But Clyde, my whole thing with the Trust No One movie, now, like I say, just like I didn't consider myself as an author. I just wrote stuff down on the paper. It's people who go to college to be an author, right? Same thing with the movie, right? I didn't consider myself a Spike Lee or a Tyler Perry, right? I'm just doing things for the first time, experiment, but I'm knowing that if it worked, I'm building people up. I'm giving them a platform, right? And that's the beauty of these platforms, these projects, right? It ain't about me, right?
Of course
Like,
not.
I like when someone come and say, "Hey, I see my mommy in your movie," or "I see my cousin in your movie." I like when people see me out and say, "Hey, could I be a part of it?" Right? But I'm still learning. My director's still learning. But best believe it's gonna come a point where we got this thing all figured out, you know. So that was my thought process, you know.
Yeah, I went to school for broadcasting and journalism and digital media, but in reference of creating a movie and like finding characters and the characters that actually fit the roles that you're having them be in, it takes a lot of work, and then it takes a lot of studying and takes a lot of doing your homework, and and it shows. Like it shows, and how you selected the characters that surround Marisha, and it also shows in like in their artists in as they work, you know. Because all of this acting, performance, is art. So, what was your initial reaction once you like how do I want to say this? What was your initial reaction once you sat back before you played the video, the movie in front of everybody when you finished when you watched the final product?
Well, just like I say, the first time around, you I'm looking for like what can I do to do better, right?
Of course.
But at the same time, I'm enjoying the moment because it's a guy. He older than me. His name Reginald Siegler.
Theoretical.
Yes, and I just gave him. I just made a post about him recently, right? Because he called me one night. We on the phone, we talking, and he said, "You know, Tyrone, I came to the premiere, right?" And I'm telling him, "Yeah, that was my first time doing a movie." And all that. He said, "Hey," he said, "I wasn't there to see the movie." He said, "I was more in awe of how you came home and did this movie, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So it was more so that once the movie was completed, I'm thinking more like it was over 140 people acted in that movie, right? So I'm feeling good about that. I'm feeling good about how I told people when I'm walking the prison yard that I'm gonna make a movie, right? I'm thinking about when I told Mauricia Stinson, I'm gonna put you on the book cover, I'm gonna put you in the movie, right? Mm-hmm. So all of that is
flooded back.
Yes, you see what I'm saying? So and it's enough to sit back and say, wow, you know what I mean? But I give each and every one of the characters a whole lot of appreciation. Even if some of them don't really feel how I really appreciate them, mm-hmm. because whether you had a small role or you had a big role or you had a medium role, see what I'm saying? They all play a part of a big project, right? A big project that, and I'm not saying this, I'm not, for it to be my first movie, most people, when they did their first movie, they can't say that, and I'm not saying this in no bad way, no, that it had the impact of what Trust No One did. Like, say, like the Palace Theater. Mm-hmm. They said no one sold that place out like that. Trust No One did. I think like in over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So, and I'm going to tell you this quick story. The gas station man, he was telling people, hey, I'm going to tow your cars, right? I never saw this many people at this theater, right? So the people told him, hey, man, there's a guy came home from prison. He made a movie, and everybody came out to support it. That's why he said, tell the people they can leave the cars parked, right? He said, tell the people they can leave the cars parked. Right? So that's the type of stuff that I think about once the movie was completed, right? Now you do learn from what you do. Like say this, Clyde. Mm-hmm. Say if I got you right here and we doing a scene, right?
All right.
Instead of me letting you go home and we plan another scene a week later, I say change your shirt, put a different hat on, right? Mm-hmm. And we can film your next scene. So these are things that I learned to do with the series.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you something else about the movie too, right, Con? You take some of my favorite stories, take like a guy named Ron Seymour and Terry Usherwood. They got the acting when they did Trust No One. Mm-hmm. But both of them have been in other movies, rap videos, right? Mm-hmm. But take like Ron. I couldn't figure out why he couldn't understand his lines. So I was ready to give up on him, right? Mm-hmm. And he'd make a joke like, man, I know you was ready to fire me, right? But I kept saying, because one time we was at the mall and I told the lady, we're only going to be 20 minutes. Right. Man, next thing you know, the mall closing, right? You know how they pull the thing up? Mm-hmm. I'm like, because when I gave Ryan longer lines, he struggled with them, right? You know,
Okay.
because these people wasn't actors, they ain't go to
Yeah.
school for it. But when I broke his lines down and split them up,
In
well,
different parts.
there you go. He became a beast, right?
Mhm.
And those the type of stories that I like sharing about the movie. Because now Ryan, you see him all on Tubi. See what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? So he all on Tubi and other movies, right? So it's things like that too, Clyde. You know, not giving up on people. And you can take the right people and put them in the right places in the movie,
Right.
but you also can take the wrong people and make sure they get in the right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean, Clyde? So that's that. You know.
Was there any scene from the movie that you just left on the editing floor in which you wish you could have put in the movie?
Hey Clyde, you know, hey Clyde, hey Clyde. I'm gonna be honest with you, because a lot of people don't know about this. 2 weeks before the premiere of the movie back in 2024, my director computer lost about 20 scenes, right?
Wow.
Man, I went to work sick, man. I was like, yo, Clyde. My supervisor was like, what's wrong with you? So when I told her, she said, hey, go home, right? So by the end of the day, my director came and said, out of the 20 scenes, like 12 more came back up.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 2 weeks, we had to film like 5 scenes over, right? But we lost some, I'm talking about we lost some important scenes. Like in the movie, it's twin brothers switching. We filmed the scene where we had two dudes look just alike, and we creating a narrative that they switching on visit because they identical twins. So the viewers supposed to be able to follow that. Hey, they switching, right? We lost that. We lost a good club scene, right? So it seems like that got left out, not by us, but by the computer, right?
By technology.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah, it is. It was some scenes, you know, that was left out, right? And sometimes, Clyde, things happen, you know.
For the best.
There you go, because now you're able to understand too that you have to be more careful. You know what I mean? You have to do things differently, right?
Correct.
Because it could have been the whole movie.
Correct. Correct.
See what I'm saying, Clyde? So going through these steps and process, that's what's gonna make us better
In the long run.
You know what I mean? So yeah, there's some scenes that
I had when I was in school, I believe I had classwork in which I lost the footage and my professor tells us every class upload it into the cloud, put it in the cloud, put it in the cloud.
Yeah.
If you don't put it in the cloud, the only other way you will have it if you have it on your hard drive, and the hard drives they will lose out. So now I notice that yes, I'm gonna carry a hard drive and I'm gonna archive another copy in the cloud. So if that hard drive goes out, I can go to the cloud, pull that image, that file, that video, that audio, and continue to do my work.
Okay.
Because then like there's for me it wouldn't be no excuse to not have what I need, you know. So um I have a couple more questions. What was your biggest challenge producing an independent film in Syracuse?
What was the biggest challenge?
Yes.
Um, the biggest challenge was for me because I was still on supervision, right?
Okay.
Man, I've been on supervision all my life, right? And I always violated, right? I never made it off supervision, right? So this is the first time I ever made it off supervision, right? Because like I say, I'm not trying to go back to prison, but when you making a movie, you in the first steps, you in the second steps. Every step along the way until you complete it, while you on supervision, there's a chance that something can go wrong and you get violated and go to prison. So if you all the way 3/4 almost complete in the movie, right? And all of a sudden you get violated, sometimes for something that might not even be in your control. Now you letting down not only yourself, but you letting down the people that's in it. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, but as far as everything else, and that's why I have to give everybody their credit, their appreciation, because they made it easy, right? They made it easier, but just not wanting to have something that interrupt that project, delay it by going back to jail because you were on supervision. That was my big. That was my big. Like say like now we filming the Trust No One series, and even though things still could happen, but I'm not on supervision no more, right? So that's how it's doing. So you got better control
of how you moving things.
You know what I mean?
One more question about the movie before we dive into the series.
Okay.
What character that someone played that you was most surprised about and performing?
What character?
And why?
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, right? There's a lady named Jackie Freeman, right? Right. And like I say, I'm not saying this to, talk down on anybody or whatever, right? But everybody know that, like, she's in the streets, right? So what happened is, but she's very smart, intelligent, and a lot of people like her, right? So making a movie, I try to think outside the box, right? So I said, I want her in the movie, right? Because I want to get people of all different walks of life.
Right.
So when I asked her, I knew she was going to say yeah, right? Because when I first came home, she asked me for some money on my first day home, right? I'm like, man, who do that, right? So, but I gave it to her, and me and her ended up being cool because she always talked about how she read the books when I was in prison, right? But she's a intelligent young lady, right? So when I told her I wanted her to be in the movie, she said, let me play this role, but that's the role that she do in the streets. So I said, nah, that's too easy, right? I said, I'm gonna make you a mother, right? Right? And she did that to the T. She played that role to the T, right? And even though everybody else did good and they rose, but that's one of my favorite roles of taking someone
out of their comfort zone.
There you go. There you go. Now reversing it, there's a few ladies that's in the Trust No One movie. Like I'll say her name, Tamika Mosier. I'll say Yolanda Johnson, who owned Coco Candles. Even though they comfortable with what they doing in life, I still had to bring them out a comfort zone to even be part of you see what I'm saying? Because sometimes people feel that, they never act before, but we act every day in life. You see what I'm saying? So we is actors and actors, but just getting Tamika Mosier and Yolanda out their comfort zones to be a part. And Clyde, I give them credit because they got families. They gotta cook, they gotta do homework, they gotta do everything as a mother, family, right? And yet they taking time out to film scenes. So I appreciate them too, but it's roles like that I enjoy too because I know what it took to get them to be a part of the movie,
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, so now you have the Trust No One series based off the movie. Why the television show?
Why? Because it's just like anything else in life, Clyde, right? You want to maximize everything that you're trying to do, right?
Yep.
Meaning that I can go from the Trust No One movie to my true life story, right? But why? Why not take advantage of every opportunity, right? Because now, even though we did the Trust No One movie, but we had to stick to the script, right?
Mhm.
But with the TV series, I'm writing as we go,
Correct.
right? And you can take the characters.
Any which way.
Yeah.
Well, you basically using the equity of the movie.
There
and
you
the
go.
book
There you
to
go.
enhance the television show.
There you go. There you go. So why put that on hold, or why never even go that route, right? You know, take advantage of it, right? Because now I'm sitting here talking to you, and I'm saying I'm an executive producer of not just the Trust No One movie, but I'm an executive producer of a Trust No One TV series. See how that sounds? You know what I mean?
Sounds real good to me.
You know, so and what happened is too, Klein. Now you having another premiere, right? Which is February 21st, right? So now you start thinking, do I have a premiere for each episode? Because like I say, you giving people a platform to get out their comfort zone, and you building them up to do other things in life. They don't have to go and be in other movies, no, but they might start a business
based off.
There you go. You know what I mean? So why I got these tools, I got to use them. But back when I was younger, I wouldn't have used every tool. You see what I'm saying?
Why do you think you would be able to use those tools
Because
when you was younger?
once you get a little older and mature,
a little gray hair.
yeah, once you got time to sit in prison, right? And you start thinking that, man, I wasted that opportunity. In prison, I wasted. Yo, Clyde, I could be dead, right? But a lot of people know me. Where would I be at if I wouldn't have been in prison, right? But still, while I was in prison, I thought about how many opportunities I wasted, right? I thought about how much time I wasted, right? So this time around, you're gonna have the Trust No One movie. You're gonna have the Trust No One TV series, right? You see what I'm saying?
And then you create an opportunity not just for yourself, but for everybody else.
Yes. There you go. And that's the big point, right? Like, if you ever follow me, I'm always promoting my actors and my actors, right?
I see.
I never really promoting me, right?
Correct.
It's about them.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? It's about them, because I can promote myself all day long, but
who's listening, right?
You see what I'm saying? They're gonna get tired of that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So when you can take someone like a Gucci, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like say like last night, another young lady named Connor D. Anderson, right? Every time you meet people that want to be a part of the cast, it's a blessing, right? Because they bring in their own
flavor.
There you go. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what make it. That's what make the series and the movie, to me, in my opinion, great, because you got, like I say, 140 people in Trust No One. Come on, man, that's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people
in the movie.
It's a lot of Asian type.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But I wouldn't change it. Right? I wouldn't change it. And like I say, the impact. And I'm gonna tell you something before we get off the subject. I had a cellie named Rasul Barnett. They call him Jungle, right? He was my cellie. He from Syracuse. When we was in prison, he said, Hines, Syracuse needs you, right? He said, watch. When you come back out and start doing some of the things that you used to do, he said, everything gonna fall back in place. When Trust No One movie dropped, he pulled me to the side and said, what I tell you, right? Because it's not to take away from what other people doing, but he saw
that before it came to fruition.
There you go. He saw how Trust No One movie had an impact, and it made people step their game up. Whether they was doing this, right?
Mhm.
It made them step the game up, and that's something that Rasu told me years ago. And when he see me now, he always give me that little what I tell you.
And a reminder.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you see what I'm saying? So you know what I mean? Getting back to your question, you take advantage of all your opportunities, and then that way you can move forward without have to have getting stuck here or this and that.
So, in reference to the television series, how long is like each episode is going to be?
Well, I'll say this, Clyde, right? The first episode that we showing February 21st, it may be an hour and 15 minutes, right? But just say episode 2 and episode 3 might be 30 minutes or 40 minutes, right? And I'm gonna tell you why that I wanted episode 1 to be a little longer because the theater charged me 1,200. Right?
We didn't hear it from you.
You see what I'm saying? So once you have to pay the 1,200 for the theater, right? You don't again maximizing the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can show one episode for half hour,
Mhm.
but I could have showed 2 episodes too, right?
Right.
But I'll show the episode 1, make it longer, make it like getting some more plots and twists out there, and then let episode 2 and 3 be a little shorter, right? You know what I mean? So that was the main reason. Instead of just paying 1,200 for the theater and then just showing one episode, maybe a half hour.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
you know what I mean. So
Yeah,
and then you know what too, Clyde? For episode 1, 2, every time I came up with a plot and twist, whether I came up with it or somebody else came with it, it took another twist, right? So that's what made episode 1 a little longer too, because say like Gucci really was supposed to come in and just do this, but her character,
she was revamped.
yeah, you know what I mean. So her character, and I'm glad that it did, right? Because it gave it another interesting plot and twist. You know what I mean?
Well, another dynamic.
Yeah,
That
you see
you
what I'm
probably
saying?
haven't if it was the movie.
No, there you go. You know what I mean, Clown? So that's another reason why episode 1 a little longer, because you're like, wow, I don't want to wait to episode 2 and put this in. I want Clyde to see this. You know what I mean? I want Clyde to see this on February 21st.
I think this is why I was telling Gucci in her episode, like maybe towards the end, is that cliffhanger that you grab people back for episode 2.
Yes,
and
yes.
I used the reference to her as in like because I watch wrestling.
Yeah.
I used the reference of who ran over Stone Cold at Survivor Series '99. No one knew who was behind that black vehicle, and I don't know if you know wrestling, but yeah, there was a scene where Stone Cold got hit by a car, was out for like 15 months, and he came back. But yeah, so you leaving that cliffhanger, you're dragging your viewers back. I gotta watch episode 2, and then it gets you to go on social media or whoever goes on social media. Yo, I need to check this episode out. This is how you check it out. Give your thoughts, So yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you something else too, Clyde, and this is a little off a little. When we talked about, I think you mentioned the first step back, or you mentioned it before we there's a guy named Louis L. Reed. He's coming to the premiere, right? But if you look him up, right, he was one of the main fighters of the first step back, right? He helped produce a film about the first step back and how it was passed and what they had to go through, right? And everyone said he was one of the main guys that pushed the show. over 25,000 federal inmates got released under the First Step Act, right? That guy coming up to the premiere on the February 21st, right? Now, he just recently signed a multi-million-dollar deal with Tubi, right? But he also been helping out with other films and series, and he do a lot of community work, right? Mm-hmm. But ain't that something that a guy like him is coming all the way up to attend your premiere?
That'd be wrestling.
There you go. You see what I'm saying? So big
and
shout out to Louis L. Reed, coming up.
He's viewing it and sharing it. He's catching different eyes that may not have be able to catch it.
Yeah.
And who knows, that it may be pulled for someone, a major filming company may ask you to sign off on it.
Yeah.
You know?
So Yep. So he coming up.
I got 2 more questions and then we could talk about rapid fire questions. How many seasons do you envision or having for the series?
Okay, I initially told my director, right, and I told everyone, you like to put things in reach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I said 3 episodes, right, Clyde? Mm-hmm. But take, for instance, using Gucci. The way her character, put twists on there. Mm-hmm. So if we get to episode 3 and it looked like it can go a couple more up, let's do it. You know what I mean? But I just want to do something in a reasonable time and, something in reach, because I do want to do my true life story, right? You know what I mean?
You don't want to lose your audience.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yes, you know what I mean? So we'll play it by episode,
Okay. What backstory of one of the characters are you really looking, excluding Gucci? Because I know it, maybe because that one you probably didn't expect.
There you go. So
maybe I just
there you go. There you go. Yeah.
Because I see like I said in the previous podcast that she was talking to me about it, like her episode or her scene was brief and like you said, and then was bouncing ideas and then she talked about creative control, and that's great, especially if you have someone that's actually going to do business with you and for you, because not everybody does a creative control. And that can that can hinder projects, or that can grow projects. But all right, so since I answered my own question, let's talk about your impact, and then we can do like a rapid fire questions. So you use your second chance to impact the community, right?
Yes.
What does changing lives around you means personally?
What it means personal, it means that you helping someone see life in a bigger picture, right? Mm-hmm. You kind of like hoping that everything they do have a purpose, right? And plain and simple, you just want to see them do better, right? Because now if they doing better, people around them have a better chance of doing better.
Right.
But my main thing is like when they see me do stuff, I always try to show them that now I don't do things that it doesn't have a purpose. Because you probably heard this before, you got 2 types of person that walk and a person that walk with a purpose, right? Mm-hmm. You always want to try to walk with a purpose, right? And that's what it looked like for me.
Okay. And my last question, what would you want your legacy to be in Syracuse?
What would I want? What?
Your legacy to be in Syracuse.
Hey, man. Now, that's a good question, right? That's a good question because my life already is a legacy to some people
Mhm.
right now to what I've been through. But you know, just being someone that went through a lot,
Mhm.
never gave up, right, and came back home and did it a different way and a better way, right, without destroying the community, without like causing harm to people, right. So I want my legacy to be that, man. He was down and out, and they thought he was gonna die in prison, but man, he done came back and gave hope to some people, you know. And once you give somebody a hope,
Mhm.
then you do you did something worthy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ty Hines here. We're about to do a rapid fire of questions. Um, so I'll give you a question. You just give me your first answer that comes to your brain, and we'll go from there. Ready?
Okay, yeah.
All right. Uh, describe your journey in one word.
Uh Bless.
What does success mean to you?
What success mean to me is um, shining the light on other people.
Your favorite quote that you live by?
Favorite quote,
Yes.
man, every second, every minute, and every hour count.
Okay. A movie that inspired you growing up.
A movie that inspired me,
Mm-hmm.
man, probably Coming to America.
People laugh at me when I say I joke around say the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah.
I love that movie, but I really really love
Okay.
Rocky. I know the Power Rangers out because it's just the CGI for that film at that time in the 90s, mid 90s was so ahead of its time, and people don't appreciate it.
Okay.
But the biggest lesson prison has taught you.
The biggest lesson prison had taught me
Mm-hmm.
is don't take life for granted.
Excluding your story, what's your next major goal?
Oh man, I had a chance to really uh build some apartment buildings,
Uh-huh.
right? You know, I won't get into all the
Yeah.
details, but I would want to get back into real estate, being able to do things like that, you know.
Okay. Favorite vehicle? Something that's gonna go real quick.
I love Cadillacs, man.
Okay. Favorite food?
Macaroni and cheese and chicken wings.
um, a place in Syracuse that should be highlighted more, but it's not.
For me, I
Mhm.
love to go up to Hine Park
Okay.
and park up there and look at the city, right? Even though people know people be up there,
Mhm.
but I think it's a nice view, and I think it really like for me, I go up there when I struggle or I run into roadblocks or whatever what
Mhm.
I'm doing. Just like that, it calms me down, get me back going. Because looking over the city makes you appreciate, you know.
I love that answer. I love that answer. Favorite television villain character?
Probably Tom and Jerry. Yeah.
Okay. Favorite musical artist?
Favorite musical artist? Man, I got you know you gotta go with Michael Jackson. You know.
Okay. I think I had a couple more. I'm trying to remember how what do you want the world to look like in the next 10 years?
Um, Being able to trust people. My movie called Trust No One, but I want you to be able to trust people.
Hey, I don't blame you.
Yeah. Sometimes people think that, even though they be joking, but they apply that in every situation. You know what I mean? Cause, they don't trust no one, man. Don't trust, but you gotta trust somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like again, reference to wrestling. Oh, Stone
Yeah.
Cold, DTA. Don't
Yeah.
trust anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like you said, you
Yeah.
have to have faith to trust in
Yeah.
somebody. Because look at you, you created a movie,
Yeah.
you created a television series, and that takes a lot of trust and
Yes.
responsibility and holding people accountable.
Yes.
And that doesn't just happen in happenstance. It does. It takes a lot of
Yes.
trust. Like
Yes.
it's like any leadership position people put you in, including myself, it takes a lot of trust. People are holding you accountable for X, Y, Z, and
Yes.
if it's not met to their standard, they're
Yeah.
coming for you.
Yes.
And there's a saying I say at work a lot to my my clinical staff. I'm like, if they're coming for me,
Yeah.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
One last question.
Yes.
Oh my God, I think I already did it. So what is what would you want the world to look like? I know I said what you envision the next 5 years.
Yeah.
What would you want the world to look like before you transition?
Um, like it used to be when we was growing up, right? Like you saw a lot of kids outside
Correct.
playing,
Yep.
having fun, whether it's playing double dutch, kickball, you saw a lot of families, right? Doing a lot of things together, right? Cookouts, family reunions, right? Barbecues, just being real supportive, I would like to see that uh, come back again,
Okay.
Um, them just the basic things that when I was growing up that I saw, that, you know,
Yeah, you want to see that?
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think I was having this conversation with someone. I'm like, yeah, I don't see nobody outside playing basketball.
yeah,
And New York City has so many basketball
yeah,
courts, so many handball courts. I don't see nobody out there playing those anymore. I think this gentrification and the society of all this technology that we
yeah,
have now that we semi had in the mid 2000s, but it just take it to a whole different level where everybody's consumed to cellular
yeah,
device, a computer, iPad, um, and it's like with everyone stuck on,
yeah,
and it's not like you can't really like have like a one-on-one conversation. Basically, everybody wanting to text and my mom, yeah, my mom gets on me about it, and I'm like,
yeah,
Mom, I love you, and yes, I sometimes I feel like I don't have time, and like calling your family members or checking in on them, like physically talking to them, can do a lot. And my mom asked me, like, "You said you gonna do?" I'm like, "Yes, I did say that.
yeah,
I'm sorry, Dad." Like, so she's holding me accountable for something I said. Like,
yeah.
so I completely understand what you stated. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Ty Hines here. Would you like to give a promo?
Well, yes. February 21st, we showing the premiere of the first episode of Trust No One TV series up at the Palace Theater, 2384 James Street. Red carpet start at 7, screening episode 1 start at 8, right? The mission, all ladies get in free. Men's pay $10 at the door. You don't need no tickets. And then we got a after party R&B birthday bash at the Elks Lodge following Trust No One TV series premiere.
So, gentlemen, not ladies,
Yes.
pay at the door. It's no tickets online. You're gonna have to pay at the door. I know one of my friends I had on my podcast previously, Lady AO is performing.
Yes, Lady AO.
And she performing at the
Premiere.
Okay.
Yes. Before the episode 1 start, she gonna perform a couple of her songs, right? And Clyde, I'm glad you brought that up because taking like Lady AO, I saw her perform one time, right? Maybe about a year or a year and a half ago. So, and that's something else, right? Like when I had my first premiere, I had a DJ DJing in the auditorium before the movie started. So now you got that again, but now you got a performer, right? So you add in more to make the event better, but also you lifting them up to like Lady AO, right? The more she performed, the better she get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's I know her personally. I know her sister as well. Sister's real cool. I was about to say, red carpet. Who's your MC?
I'm glad you brought that up, right? When it comes to hosting, Lamisha Adams, she always my first choice, right? If she's busy, then I go to somebody else, but no one does it like Lamisha Adams, right? Like she'll call you, she get prepared, she do her cue card, right? She always looking for a way to make it better in the way like she did. She done hosted my double Dutch contests, right? She done hosted the 2024 Trust No One movie red carpet. And if you see preview, she did a great job, and she always preparing herself, and when she had her podcast, she always invited us on, right? So there's a rapport there too, right? So I'm glad you brought her up because she's a wonderful host. Maybe to me, maybe the best, you know.
I didn't say she. I have my own personal favorite. I know who she is.
Yes.
And yeah, because she had a podcast with one of my other close friends.
Yes.
Danielle, and Danielle and I don't know Joe. They are brothers and sisters.
Okay.
But yeah, Joe be on my podcast on the regular when we talk about wrestling.
Okay.
He's a pianist, one of the greatest musicians I've ever had the privilege of personally listening to. He during his time here, not physically in this building, but for this church, he was this church's choir director.
Okay.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
Okay.
His name is he's known as Lord Dweez. I call him Joe.
Okay.
But yeah. Any other surprises, or people should just pop up and find out, basically.
I don't even know the surprising twist. You see what I tell you, example with Gucci, right?
Correct.
Man, and every day is a surprise and a twist, you know what I mean? And that's what's making it fun too, right? And Clyde, I want to say something too, that all the actors and actresses, sometimes I can't always say their names because there's so many of them, right? And I always try to promote them much as I can, but today I would like to tell them, each and every one of them, whether they played a part in the movie and the series, that I appreciate them. Thank you. You know what I mean? For believing in my vision, believing in, just believing in being a part of something. You know what I mean? At the same time, living their regular lives, right? So, I really appreciate each and every last one of them.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ty Hines. Thank you for coming on the TV podcast. All this is due to Gucci. Think about it. I believe. Yeah, and right.
And that's another example, right? You see how Gucci came to be a part of the Trust No One series cast, but she does an interview with you, right?
Mhm.
That leads to me doing an interview with you, right?
Correct.
So see how even with that example, how we both was able to create something for not just for the both of us,
But for
but for
everybody.
others. There you go. You see what I'm saying? So that's a good example.
Yeah. So shout out to Gucci, a Gucci Barbie, because all this really kind of started in early November. Like
Yes.
I'm like, I know you. Let's do a podcast.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm down. Just let me do something. That we came together. We created the podcast. The podcast. It was my intent purpose to not hear that podcast until this year because I knew about the film and the TV series. So my goal, my mission is within the next 2 weeks, hopefully no later than the 18th of February, is to air this episode if possible.
That's cool.
Right before the event, so people can watch it.
Okay.
This episode will be on YouTube. The audio version will be on every audio platform. So you have Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora. I can't think of anybody else. Any other radio podcasting platform, you'll hear this episode. And then I'll also post this episode on YouTube, as I stated, and I'll post this episode out as well on Facebook.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Clyde Anderson. This is Mr. Ty Hines. If you'd like to be a guest on the CA Media Podcast, feel free to email me at camediapodcast@gmail.com, and I will gladly get in contact with you, or you can connect with me on Instagram, Facebook at CA Media Podcast, or linktree.com/CA Media Podcast. Select the booking date, and we can create an episode together. It's my pleasure. Any last words?
Yeah. It's great to be here. Just like I say, coming home from prison, doing something with a purpose. I wouldn't be here talking to you about the series or the movie. We could be talking about something totally different. But that lets you know that you're on the right track when people like yourself invite you on their podcasts.
This is a safe space, a personal space. Like I tell my guests here, talk about whatever you want. You talk about how you like Donald Trump. If you don't like Donald Trump, you like Barack Obama, you don't like Barack Obama. I just tell people, just don't disparage any race section there. Just be yourself. Again, this is Clyde Anderson. See Me a Podcast, the show that allows you to come in your own unique way. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the CA Media Podcast, the show that allows you to come in your own unique way. I am the host, Clyde Anderson. Want to be a guest on the show? Got questions, feedback, or a story you'd like to share? We'd love to hear from you. Email us at camediapodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on all platforms at CA Media Podcast. Listen and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and wherever you stream your podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a review. It helps us grow and keep bringing the conversations that matters. Until next time, stay connected, stay inspired, and always remember, we are the show that allows you to come in your own unique way.